Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Josh. Today we're going to be looking at Wonka, which is directed by Paul King, comes to us from the guy who did the two Paddington movies. Gonna be honest, I went into this with pretty low expectations, not because I have anything against Paul King, but because I don't really feel that it was necessary to give an origin story to Willy Wonka. The original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory has obviously become a very iconic film, and I remember watching a lot as a kid and really enjoying it. Granted, I haven't rewatched it in quite some time. Haven't seen the one with Johnny Depp. I have no idea if that's any good or not. But the idea of someone else replacing Gene Wilder just didn't really interest me, and I didn't feel that this is a character that needed to be explored in his origin. But here we are, Timothée Chalamet is picking up the mantle, and we see this character before he even opened the chocolate factory. He's just an aspiring entrepreneur with a touch of magic in his products. Now, one thing I'll say is that this definitely exceeded my expectations. Is it a great film? No. Is it a classic? No. I think the story is pretty conventional. We'll talk about that in a few minutes, but first of all, the visuals in this are excellent, and the poster kind of misled me because the poster looks like an absolute disaster. Just a lot of colors thrown on the screen, basically as much noise as you can throw into an image. I was worried that's what this film would feel like, and in some instances it does, but the visual effects are actually a lot better than I thought they would be. This is part musical, there are a lot of dance scenes, and although there is definitely some CGI going on, and it really needed to be there in a couple of scenes, there's also a lot of good choreography, and you can tell there's a lot of effort put into making this look like a really well-made production. And when they did have to use CG, I think it actually looks pretty good, with a couple of exceptions. We'll talk about Hugh Grant as an Oompa Loompa in a little bit. And generally speaking, I think Timothée Chalamet does a good job of portraying the character in the early aspiring stages of his career. It's got a very similar anti-greed sort of message that the original had. This time we've got this like trifecta of ultra-rich chocolatiers that are essentially monopolizing the market. And yeah, a lot of elements of the plot are pretty generic and the humor isn't great, but this is a PG film. It's generally oriented towards kids, and I think it does a pretty solid job of keeping the humor fresh enough that its target audience will be entertained by it. Although it does run a little bit long. It's an hour and 56 minutes, probably could have been a bit shorter. I say that about, it seems like every single film that I review. They do surround Willy Wonka with a lot of other lively characters who find themselves indebted to this laundry run by Olivia Colman. Actually, that got a little bit old because at a certain point you want to see him start making chocolate and just wowing all of the public. And the movie takes a while to get there because he spends a lot of his time in this basement working off his debt, and that was a little bit frustrating. But once it does get there, I think it's a solid, entertaining, if formulaic time. The story just didn't blow me away or anything. Timothée Chalamet is great as this character, but I think the character does come off as a little bit flat. There are a very limited number of scenes where he shows genuine emotion or range beyond this little tidbit that we do get between him and his mother from his past. If anything, that's what the movie's lacking. It has that whimsical side, it has great visuals, and a decent enough story, but I think they could have given the side characters more, and the lead character could have probably used a little emotional boost. Hugh Grant is actually in this a lot less than I thought he would be, and it's clear that they were stretched thin with their VFX budget because he just looks very awkward and out of place in every scene that he's in. Granted, there are clearly good reasons as to why they did not cast real little people to portray the Oompa Loompas in this movie. But watching Hugh Grant in this was one of the few times where I felt like the CGI didn't look good, it didn't look real, and it didn't feel well integrated into the environments. You can just tell you're looking at his CGI face plastered onto a fake digitally created body, and it doesn't really work. Hugh Grant does a good job, but it looks awkward nonetheless. As a whole, I would give Wonka a light recommendation. If you're looking for something lively, fun, and high in spirit to take the family to go see, this is a great option. It's a movie that I probably will never watch again, but the highlights are there. The music, for the most part, is pretty solid. Although during certain songs, it was really obvious that the vocals were dubbed over because the actors' mouths were just not jiving with what I was hearing. But you become entranced by the visuals to the point that that doesn't really matter. You know, I was having a good time with it. Not good enough to say it was one of the best of the year or anything, but I'll give Wonka 3 out of 5 stars. It's pretty solid. As always, I'm eager to hear what you guys think, so let me know if you see Wonka down in the comments. What do you think of it, and how does it stand up compared to the original? And also, let me know if the Johnny Depp one is any good, because I actually know very little about that one. While you're at it, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you next time.